Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 2, Dr. First Lord Shiva, and then text reads. Atayuvacha Yasyaivam Vidata Shapam Krigosa Bhagavan Bhavaha Nishcha Kamatata Kinchit Vimana Evasa Nigaha Tatre Vacha Tasyaivam Vidita Shapam Vrigosa Bhagavan Bhavaha Nishtama Tata Kinchid Vimana Evasa Nigaha Tatre Vacha Yasyaivam Vidita Shapam Go Sabhagavan Bhavaha Nishkamataka Kinchit Manaiva Sanagaha. Can you get a Bhagavad Gita, please? Vacha Vacha of him. Evam such. Viditaha means spoken. Shapam first. Vrigoho of Vrigu. Saha Bhagavan possessor of all opulences. Bhavaha Lord Shiva. Vishvakama went. Tapaha from there. Kinchit somewhat. Namaha arose. Eva as. Anugaha called by his disciples. Translation. The sage Maitreya said, when such cursing and counter-cursing was going on between Lord Shiva's followers and the parties of Dr. and Vrigu, Lord Shiva became very morose. Not saying anything, he left the arena of the sacrifice, followed by his disciples. Here Lord Shiva's excellent character is described, and in spite of the cursing and counter-cursing between the parties of Bhakti and Shiva, because he is the greatest Vaishnava, he was so sober that he did not say anything. The Vaishnava is always tolerant, and Lord Shiva is considered the topmost Vaishnava. So his character, as shown in this scene, is excellent. He became morose because he knew that these people, both his men and Dakshas, were unnecessarily cursing and counter-cursing one another, without any interest in spiritual life. From this point of view, he did not see anyone as lower or higher because he is a Vaishnava. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5.18, Punditas and Adarshanaha. One who is perfectly learned does not see anyone as lesser or greater, because he sees everyone from the spiritual platform. Thus, the only alternative left to Lord Shiva was to leave in order to stop his follower, Nandishvara, as well as Brighamuni, from cursing and counter-cursing in that way. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama. Yesterday was Srivas Pandit's appearance. Disappearance. So I thought I'd just read something about Srivas Pandit. Oh, really? Oh, alright, well, there it is. Unless you want to hear it again. Maybe we should hear it again, because sometimes what we do is, I remember Madhava used to do this all the time. Anyways, I don't know why he would do it. Madhava Puri, from Brahmacharya here. Devotees there'd be something read, a quote in the morning, and then during class, he would quiz all the devotees. So what was in the morning? What was read in the morning? Everybody kind of agrees, oh, we don't know what was read in the morning. Yeah, question marks pop up, Or we asked everybody, hey, what did you hear about Srivas Pandit in the morning announcement? Sometimes in the morning announcement. Okay, we'll just read it, it's short. We chant Hare Krishna. Srivas Pandit, 5th member of the Panchatattva, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi, Gaura Bhaktivinoda, lived in Navadvip before the advent of Lord Chaitanya. Srivas led his brothers, Sri Ram, Sri Nidhi, and Sri Padvi, in their devotional lives of singing Krishna's names, worshipping the Lord, and bathing thrice daily in the Ganga. Meeting with Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, they studied Bhagavatam and prayed for an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Why did they pray? Because only an avatar of Krishna could re-establish Vaishnavism among the staunch atheists, logicians, and proud pundits harassing Nadi at that time. Malini, wife of Srivas, was a constant friend of Shachi Devi. She served Nimai as a nurse. When Lord Vishwambar appeared, the heart of all the devotees was filled with fraternal affection. Vatsalya. Lord Chandra loved Malini and Srivas as a second mother and father. Srivas Angam was located 200 yards north of Nimai's buddy house. Srivas Pandit's palatial home had large, comfortable rooms, a high protective boundary wall, and lush, densely foliated gardens and groves. Every night, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and his dearest friends would enjoy ecstatic kirtans here and taste the mellows of Vrindavan. Here the raging Muslim Qazi broke the sacred mridanga in his foolish attempt to stop Shri Krishna's Sankirtan movement. Henceforward, Srivas Angam was known as Pol Panga Danga. What does that mean? Do you remember that from before? Place where the mridanga was broken. The Qazi passed an ordinance prohibiting Sankirtan. Violators would be converted to the Muslim faith and lose their property. While the most naughty Vasis, residents of Navadvip, panicked over this, Srivas Pandit laughed at this fanatical law. Within Srivas Angam, Lord Gauranga Sundar showed his divine form to all his eternal associates. The house of Srivas Pandit served as the headquarters of the Gauranga Sankirtan movement. The daily Bhagavatam classes, nightly kirtans, and many confidential rites pastimes of Lord Gaura occurred here. Srivas Pandit and Sri Vetacharya, the learned chiefs of the Brahmin community, dedicated all their energies to the Lord's Harinam Sankirtan movement. They surrendered their bodies, minds, homes, friends, family, and all possessions to Lord Gaura's service. They knew no other gods or goddesses. Srivas Pandit maintained his family not because they were his relatives, but because they were Sri Chaitanya's loving servants. Srivas Pandit represents the marginal living entity, Krishna Jiva. The devotees headed by Srivas are described as Lord Chaitanya's smaller limbs, his face, eyes, hand, disc, and other weapons. They all took part in Sri Gaura Sundar's pastime. With them, Lord Gauranga spread the Sankirtan movement. Srivas Pandit is Narada Muni. Srivas Pandit is Narada Muni, an intergalactic creature and constant associate of the Lord. This is Madhyaji intergalactic creature. We could still visit that place. It's there in Mayapur, Srivas Angam, the house of Srivas. So here we're continuing to hear about the curses and the counter curses, and actually this whole historical account continues for quite some time. Another few chapters, it looks like. So we're on chapter 2. It continues to chapter 7 of this whole. And then 8 is Dhruva Maharaj. So here it's explaining, Srila Prabhupada's explaining how Lord Shiva, he didn't say anything. He's the greatest Vaishnava. He was so sober that he did not say anything. So this is quite a difficult thing, because when somebody says something to us, right? Something offensive, something we think is incorrect, something that's wrong, that's attacking us. Our first reaction is to do what? Get angry and say something back to them, right? Whatever it is. Oh, like I heard one time devotees they were yelling at each other. Sorry, yelling at each other. They're not here anymore. I guess their anger took over, so they went to ashram. Eventually, but these brahmacharis were yelling at each other, and completely covered, by anger, mode of ignorance, and all that. And they were just looking for something to criticize each other about. And they were one was yelling at each other, "Oh, you did this before you joined," and they were talking about different sinful activities they did. "Oh, you were like this before you joined the temple." And the other one was saying, "Oh, you were like this," right? And they were yelling back at each other. Because I guess in their more, you would say, saner moments and their nicer moments, they revealed, some of the maybe horrible things they did before they joined the temple to each other. So then, when it came time to fight, they were using that against each other, fighting back and forth. So it's not that one of them said, "Oh, you did this and you did that and you're a rascal." Another one was just quiet. "Yes, you're right. Thank you very much." Bows his head. Jai Prabhu, thank you for humbling me. He walks away. So that's not the general tendency or reaction that people have, that we may have, that we have. But the reaction is to fight back. And interesting, I mean, in Borijan Prabhu's book, Japa, he describes all the, not only you could say the mechanistic aspects of japa, because in many ways there's many, you could say, mechanistic is that the right word? Mechanistic? Yeah, mechanical aspects of how to chant good japa. For example, you don't eat 15 pakoras and, 2 scoops of halava and, 5 puris and whatever, and 2 cups of sweet rice the night before, at 11 p.m. at night, and then go to sleep and then wake up and then try to chant your japa. Why? Because generally speaking, it's going to affect the body, it's going to affect the mind. You're not going to be able to concentrate. You're spaced out. And eating too much the previous night. And not getting enough sleep, eating too much the previous night. And then, of course, when the japa comes, right, sitting straight, and pronouncing properly, and all these things. So you could say that in many ways, these are mechanical aspects of how to chant good japa, okay? Which are important. But also, Borijan Prabhu goes into the psychological, you could say, aspects of ourselves. In other words, the workings of the material mind, analyzing those based on srimadbhagavatam and other books, and give us a clue or an idea how to deal with our mind in relation to chanting japa. So one point he brings up there is he says that when somebody criticizes us, again, the natural reaction is to fight back, to retaliate, to call them out on their faults. Okay, hey, you're calling me out, but hey, I know what you do. I know what you've done before. Or I know how you are. So that's a general tendency. But he's saying that when somebody's criticized, or when a Vaishnava is criticized, somebody who's, you could say, more established on the Vaishnava platform, what do? Do they retaliate and fight back? And do you remember what they do? Well, not only tolerate, but they have a certain thought process that goes on within them. Yeah, but there's a little more than that. What they do is that when they're criticized, they think, oh, you've only seen, they think to themselves, oh, you've only seen a little bit of my faults. I actually have a mountain of faults that you're not seeing. So in other words, they're not thinking that the person's wrong. In other words, they're thinking themselves fallen, and they actually deserve it. They actually deserve that treatment. So, but yeah, this is what Lord Shiva is displaying here, that he was heavily criticized. And not only was he heavily criticized, but he was heavily criticized in the assembly of all these great personalities. Like the greatest personalities, the sages, and demigods, and all these different personalities, right there in the assembly. Daksha just laid it on him one after another, criticizing him. So, and you could say, and a lot of times within our lives, that may happen to us, or that may have happened to us. And some people, they look at it as that much more embarrassing. Like if I was to correct somebody, right, in maybe a harsh, heavy way. If I was to correct whatever Jamal in a harsh, heavy way. Now, if I did that one-on-one, however he accepted, and he might be hurt, he might be embarrassed, whatever it may be, right? He might be offended. But if I was to do it in a Sunday feast talk, then he'd probably, I don't know. In some cases, I know devotees, they've been corrected in public, and they hated that individual still to this day, for correcting him in public. So this is what was happening to Shiva, right in public, in front of everybody. He was chastising, but he was silent. So So this is the great tolerance of Lord Shiva. There's one devotee, and he was first starting to come to the temple and was doing a beach, and Devaramita Swami was giving the talk, and he said, right in front of the whole SanDiego talk, he said, yeah, Bhakti Jeff, he's coming to the temple, and I just don't know why he still insists on smoking pot, He said, so this is how there's different ways we could test our level of advancement, actually. It's very practical. That when we get criticized, when we get chastised, how do we accept it? How do we react? So if we react immediately, okay, hey, let me jump back on this person, let me retaliate, right? Then, yeah, we have some work to do. But even mentally, how do we react mentally? Do we become angry? Do we become frustrated? Do we start saying all types of interesting things within our mind about that person? Do we hold a grudge against that person? Right? So these are different ways that we can analyze our own advancement, how advanced we are becoming, which is very important. And if we don't have any reaction, then that means we're making some advancement. Means if we don't become angry, etc., then we're making some advancement. And similarly, so that's one way we could test our advancement. And another way we could test our advancement is how, I was just thinking another way, but Prabhupada said how free one is from sexual attraction. We could test our advancement. How disturbed we are by that. So here it's mentioned that Lord Shiva, he did not see anyone as lower or higher because he's a Vaishnava. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Pandita Srimadbhagavatam. One who is perfectly learned does not see anyone as lesser or greater because he sees everyone from the spiritual platform. So all these descriptions are here within the Bhagavad Gita and other books to give us an idea of what we're supposed to strive for. And also to give us, you could say, a mark that, okay, am I coming up to this mark? And yeah, devotees may struggle with this, seeing people from with equal vision. I remember hearing the Radha Damodar party, a bunch of brahmacharis. Small Krishna Goswami was there on the bus, and there was some young, beautiful, attractive woman, and she was a reporter. So she came somehow or other to get an interview with Small Krishna Goswami. And when she came in, all the brahmacharis, or at least some of them, there seemed to be a change in their mind, and they started acting a little differently, and so on. We may be familiar with. So then Maharaj gave the interview and all that, and then afterwards, he told the brahmacharis. He said, "Oh, I noticed, what was going on," and he said to all the brahmacharis that if you were a young cow, if you were a baby cow, she would have ate you. So in other words, they're all bewildered about her beauty and this and that. But Maharaj said, "Oh, if she was a baby cow, she would have ate you." In other words, behind that, sweet, so-called sweet demeanor and all that, there's something else. So in other words, we have to be intelligent in the sense that we see from the perspective of the Scripture, see from the eyes of Scripture that we see everything. We see people, we see things, we see this world from the eyes of Scripture, and not from our own perspective of sense gratification. And what does the scripture say? It says, or Krishna says, it says, Ukalayam Shashvatam, right? It's temporary and it's full of misery. So are we seeing it as temporary and full of misery? Or are we seeing it as a place that is eternal, right? Where we could enjoy for very long periods of time, right? And a place full of opportunities, right? To gratify our senses. So we have to be seen from Scripture in that that is not that place. It is temporary and full of suffering. And until one could actually see like this, they will have very little impetus to preach, to spread Krishna consciousness, and they'll have very little impetus to actually be Krishna conscious. Because they'll think, hey, it's not so bad, you know, I'm going to be here for long, forever practically, and there's so many opportunities for sense gratification, and everybody else is not suffering that much, you know. So, until we understand this point, it's actually very difficult to become Krishna conscious and to preach Krishna consciousness. So we should somehow or other, through our study, through our practice, through prayer, we should come to that realization that this place is full of suffering and is temporary and people need help. And therefore Srila Prabhupada was such a great preacher because he understood this. He saw from the eyes of Scripture. He wasn't seeing from the eyes of sense gratification and materialism. He was seeing from the eyes of Scripture. Therefore he was such a powerful preacher. I mean, of course, a lot of devotees don't listen to the news so much, or watch the news or whatever. I met somebody the other day. She said that every day she watches the news from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. every day. It's like, man, that's a long time. It's 3 hours every day. You can imagine how much, bhagavatam you could read, or how many rounds you could chant in that long time. So whatever the case is, yeah, sometimes devotees don't watch the news or hear the news. But, at some points it may be helpful to know what's going on, because that also might wake us up a little bit. I got somebody, I talked to my mother on the phone yesterday, and right there in the beautiful town of Southern Oregon, Grants Pass. It actually is quite beautiful. Nice river flowing through, so many trees, right? All types of organic vegetables and fruits, and for the people who like pot, a lot of pot, marijuana, birds chirping. Nice place. So right there in that beautiful Southern Oregon town, very small town. My father, he got remarried to this present woman he's with. Her name is Bobby. So he got married to her, and before she is married to my father, she was married to somebody else. Sometimes it happens today. A lot of marriages going on. So her previous husband, they had a son, and the son's probably my age, almost 30 or whatever. So this son, he got together, right, with some girl and their girlfriend, boyfriend, and they had a child. So the child's about somewhere between 7 and 10 years old. So, and this woman, for whatever reason, she was somewhat imbalanced and this and that, probably whatever, she was just imbalanced. And so what happened is this woman just yesterday, she just lost it. She absolutely lost it. And what she did is absolutely horrible and completely sick. And what she did is she killed the son and then killed herself. Right, just yesterday. So I talked on the phone at about 5:25 yesterday, as my mother told me. And the thing is, but it's really close. It's kind of close in the sense because it's my father and it's his wife's son, and the son's son. So
so it's quite close. So my father's wife, she's suffering right now on account of that her grandson was killed. So right there in the beautiful, town of Southern Oregon, right? It is a beautiful place, but the mind is just becomes crazy, becomes sick, and do something stupid. So, and this is happening all the time, everywhere. So many examples like this. And therefore, it is a place of suffering. It is temporary. It is a place of suffering. And we could see that people become so deranged that they actually need help. And unless people actually speak up, unless people speak the truth, then people actually don't get any help. So it really, a lot of the help that people get is actually due to communication or preaching. I'll end with one last thing that I talked with a devotee yesterday, and he was addicted to heroin for 22 years, from age 18 or whatever. Very young age, 22 years. And for the last 18 years he's been free from the addiction. Thank God. He's initiated and all that. So I asked him, hey Prabhu, how did you get free from this addiction? And he said, I was enjoying for the first 10 years. I was really enjoying it. But the last 12 years I was suffering like anything. Every day I was suffering. And because my body was so addicted to it, I wouldn't if I didn't have it, I'd get sick. I'd be hot, and I'd be shivering, and, all stomach problems, feeling really bad, couldn't eat. So, and he said he would do anything to get the heroin, do anything. So his family and friends would say, oh, watch out for this guy, because he'd come in the house, they'd go to the bathroom and steal the TV or something. He'd do absolutely anything for money to get his fix. So then, years go, and he said he was praying the whole time, very interesting. He was praying to God, please free me. And then still, his body was so addicted, he would go for it. And then as time went on, he somehow or other got to this point where I guess there's clinics around America where you go in and you take before he was killed. Yeah. So you go in these clinics and they give you this little shot of whatever it is, and it's like it has the same effect of heroin. It's cheaper, maybe it's less damaging to the body. It has a longer lasting effect, like 24 hours. So many people, they do that to get off heroin. They go to this place, and somehow it's government approved. So he was doing that, every day. You get a few shots in the morning. Methadone? Yeah, methadone. So, and he said and some people are addicted to that the rest of their life, which is also not very healthy. So one day he went in there and this Chinese guy went like this. One of the workers went like this. And then this devotee walked over there, and then this Chinese guy started kind of chastising him and rebuking him and say, are you going to be like this your whole life? Like, what are you doing? Are you really you really want to be doing this your whole life? And then he said at that point, he started to think, and he said the next day he went there, and then the Chinese guy called him over again. Hey, come over here. And then he was sitting outside of his office, and he was talking with some woman. This worker was talking with some woman, and the woman was explaining how she lessened her dose to like 50 milligrams, whatever it is, some smaller dose. And then this devotee, he started thinking. He said, you know what? I should reduce my quantity too. So then he reduced, and then he reduced, and then he reduced, and then it was down to a particular amount. And then when it came down to that point, one day he just didn't go in. And then from there he was free. He was free. But he linked this becoming free to the words of this man. So I said, oh, this man's like a guru. Saved him. Helped him save him. So my point is, everybody's addicted to this world in some form or the other, whatever it may be. So devotees have to speak up, and Prabhupada does it very nicely in his books. We give books to people and so on. Does anyone have any questions or comments? That's right, if you don't. I'll move on to the next important aspect of the program. Yeah, I read myself when everybody chant the verse. With Pandita Samadarshana, read the verse. Prabhupada quotes it in his purport in Bhagavatam. It says, Vidya vinyasampane brahmani gavahastani shunicheva shapake cha pandita samadarshana. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. So with equal vision, they see the soul, they see the super soul. All glories to the sages. Alright, Granthi Raj Srimad Bhagavatam to the